Hello, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Heath.
And I'm Rick. We want you to know, if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and people committed to a life rooted in science and unfettered by supernatural beliefs.
On today's show, we're going to talk about the loss of faith and raising kids while secular.
And now we want to tell the viewers about the show's sponsors.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at a Flats and Taps, 7403 Kingston Pike, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37919. When you get to the meetup, look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. And as Matt Delaney, an Atheist Experience, says, everyone is welcome to our happy hour for food, drink, and conversation, but if you plan to preach, prophesize, provoke, or punch, please don't.
The Rationalists of East Tennessee have several regular monthly meetings. The first and third Sundays mornings of the month are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussions. The second Sunday, we hold the Skeptics Book Club. On the fourth Sunday, we are mixing it up. Sometimes a potluck get together in members' homes, which we call reflections meeting.
Later in the show, we'll give you our websites to visit for additional details, including times and locations. In the news, on August 21st, we're going to have a very interesting celestial event. We have our total eclipse. We're lucky to be actually in the swath of the United States where you'll be able to see totality. In this area, that's going to be 2-ish, 2:30-ish, depending on where you're located. If you're going to participate in this, which I recommend you do, make sure you have appropriate eyewear. Sunglasses won't work. Don't look at the sun directly. You really need eclipse glasses. They have like the mirrored finish. And if you go online to the NASA website, they have like ISO specifications so you can make sure the glasses are safe. But you got to have on the glasses before the totality. You can take them off during the totality where it's actually kind of almost like nighttime. You should see stars if the sky is clear. And then as the sun moves off, you got to put them back on because it will damage your retinas. Anyway, this is a very, very cool celestial event. And as like one of our members likes to say, you know, this scientific prediction is actually occurring. You know, it's pretty cool. It's everyone should get out and do it since we are fortunate enough to have won the lottery that we actually get to sit in the middle of totality.
And plan ahead. If you plan on going to one of these cities, make sure that you make plans accordingly. Because if you watch the news, these places are filling up, selling parking passes and stuff like that. So plan ahead, stay ahead.
Mm-hmm. That's right. If you are listening to the show now and you would like to call in and discuss, you know, any topic with us related to, you know, free thought or atheism or loss of faith or raising your children in a secular home, please call the number on the screen. Today's program is, you know, loss of faith and raising kids while secular. Rick and I are going to sort of interview each other and talk about our own experiences, you know, going through these things. So, Rick, can you tell us about your faith experience, please?
My faith experience?
Yes.
I didn't really grow up religious. I had grandparents my grandmother was religious. But in my household, we didn't go to church. We didn't say grace or anything like that. So my, I guess, deconversion or loss of faith was minimal. Although, you know, I had a nominal deism that I took through the Asian beliefs. I was in the military. I went to Hawaii and Asia. I looked into and studied into Buddhism superficially, Taoism, some of the, I guess, neo-paganism stuff. But eventually, I think it was like a ghost show. I think I heard Michael Shermer on a ghost show saying that tests into prayer, stuff like that, were came to no effect. And I always had that kind of thing that, well, there was some kind of psychic thing or prayer somehow worked somewhere. Because you always hear, like, in these third world countries where, scientific testing is very minimal or superficial at best.
Right.
But there was something. And then when you look into the actual testing, there's nothing. I mean, if anything, I guess the test on heart attack or heart patients, that the ones who knew about it did poorly, I guess, like performance anxiety or something to that effect. But, I mean, average. You prayed for somebody, you didn't pray for somebody,
Yeah.
It's kind of like the,
same result.
If you have a headache, take an aspirin and pray, and it will go away in, 20 to 30 minutes. And yourself?
So I grew up in a family, a Christian family. Phone call. All right, someone's called in.
Ooh.
Gotta do something here.
On button.
In the middle. There you go.
Hello, this is the Freethought Forum. You are now on the show. Who is this?
This is Charles from Central Illinois.
Charles. Hi, Charles. How are you?
So far so good.
Great.
On today's subject, raising secular children after losing faith. Perhaps one of those telling statements ever made is by Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, who stated that children are naturally scientists.
Very
So
inquisitive.
one of the things we need to encourage is for their willingness to test things, find out whether or not they're accurate.
I
agree.
I completely agree with you.
Agree.
Rick and I have young children. My children are still in the middle school age, and we have conversations like this all the time. For instance, I just a couple weeks ago I challenged them. I had some leaves in my hands. They were pulled off the tree. I says, I have a hypothesis. My hypothesis is that all leaves are green. And they look at me and it's like, Daddy, the leaves aren't all leaves are green. It's like, how do you know? Right here, I've got green leaves in my hand. It's like, I've seen other leaves. These are the only leaves I have, and they're all green. Like, help me understand. And so they went out in the yard, and lo and behold, in our yard, all the leaves are green. And they said, well, I know. So, well, can you help me understand? Can you give me some evidence? And so they ran all over the neighborhood and
To prove you wrong.
to prove me wrong, because they knew that I was wrong. And so they went all over the neighborhood, and it took about 30 minutes. And they brought back all these different great leaves of different colors and stuff like that. And it's like, see, Daddy, look here. Here's the evidence. I said, okay, that's wonderful. And now I know that all leaves are not green. It's like, was that easy? Did it take effort? And I said, yeah, it did. So I said, A, I agree with you. And B, I think that if we interact with our children in this way to build that curiosity and that questioning mentality, that's what we have to do really to raise our kids to have sort of a scientific mindset. Of course, in my household, we're science geeks, so they're doomed.
Yeah, that's one of the problems I see with a lot of the education in the United States today is they're put down on the scientific method and scientists and so forth. Another thing we can do is encourage them to go explore at the library and show them the difference between books of fiction and books of science.
Do you have kids?
Yes.
How old are they?
I do not. Oh, I thought I misheard you.
Oh,
I do not have any children myself,
okay.
but I'm a frequent visitor to my library, and we get kids here all the time.
Well, that's good.
So,
Yeah, speaking of Neil Tyson, we have the Cosmos series, which is fantastic. And
oh yes,
the,
both the original and the new one.
yes. Well, we don't have the original, but we do have the new one. And Neil Tyson does a fantastic job of not only talking about his realm of cosmology, but also just the history of science, and the effect that culture and religion has had on the history of science, and it's very, very interesting.
One of the things that I'd like to point out is that we seem to be having a problem with the local, our national government and the climate sciences, the EPA, and so forth.
But it's interesting.
So,
It's
I
interesting.
find this very, very troubling that the best information available is being flat out declared null and void simply because it doesn't suit the political agenda of a specific group of people.
Right. But Charles, before we get too far along, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you watched the show before?
Lots of times.
Lots of times. Wonderful. And have you called in before?
Lots of times.
Wonderful. And you said you're from Illinois, right?
Central Illinois.
Central Illinois.
We
Okay.
are the belt buckle of the Bible Belt.
You think so?
I think you're the broadcast.
Oh,
I think you.
Faithless Forrest, on how many churches he saw on the sign when he would stop by and visited me on his way to Wisconsin.
We'll ask him.
That's wonderful.
We have 3 bars and at least 8 churches, and we have a population of 4,000.
That's a travesty.
Wow.
Now, do the churches have bars?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That makes up for it then.
Well, if you were local, then I would invite you to our meeting this afternoon after the show at Flats and Taps. But I think that'd be a bit of a drive for you.
Yeah, that would take me about close to 8 hours.
Yeah.
So you need to start early.
Yeah.
Call us
I
on
need an SR-71 to get there and back.
Too bad
you
we're
would now.
retired.
Okay.
All right. Charles, thanks for calling.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? I completely agree with you. I think a scientific education is, I think central to, raising kids, particularly secular. And, when we have conversations about things that are in the Bible, like I had this conversation with my children about Noah's Ark. And I asked my kids are like, they're young. So we were talking about Noah's Ark, and I said, so about that time, how many species were on the earth, do you think? And my 9-year-old goes, millions, which I'm like, wow, yeah, you're probably right. It's like, so do you think millions of animals would fit on that boat? 2 million, one of each, would fit on that boat? And she's like, well, no, I don't think so. And, so, having those conversations of, this is what's written, and this is, if you kind of think about it rationally about, how big a bread box is, and trying to actually do the problem in your head, you realize that it keeps spilling over the edge of the boat. This is not going to work.
Is it plausible?
Is it
Right.
plausible? Yeah.
Right.
Rather than just saying flat out, that's ridiculous. Actually sitting down and going through the exercise of, okay, let's try it. And then come to the conclusion that it's ridiculous, rather than just debunking it.
So I think that's where an open mind comes in, right? You have an open mind to ideas, so you don't dismiss them out of hand. But we're not lowering standards to let the wackiness in, right? Okay, you have a proposition. Let's see how
Let's try it.
it meets up, right?
Let's try it.
Okay, Dad, you say that all the leaves are green. Let's check that out.
Let's check that out. That's right.
We don't want to dismiss you out of hand,
Right.
right?
That's right. Well, thank you, Charles.
Okay, I'll let you go, and hopefully somebody else will call it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You have a good day.
Bye.
Okay, well, that was very nice. Thank you.
It was.
That was a good call. Trying to remember where we were. Oh, I think I was talking about
Your D.
yeah. Okay, so I grew up in a religious family. We went to church fairly regularly, but we called ourselves Metho-Bapterians because we really bopped around between churches quite a bit, and denomination really didn't matter that much. My mom was Presbyterian, raised Presbyterian, and even then, even still, we didn't stay necessarily Presbyterian. And then I went to college, and religion really didn't mean any much. Moved away and got a job, met my wife. My wife was religious, but she was always, universalist. Even not only did denomination not matter, Christianity really didn't matter either. She knew there was something out there. She knew there was a higher power, she believed. And so that's kind of what drew me back into church, because I would go with her, and then we had children, and we got into church for them. Mostly the social, the community. It was community. It's always about community, people. And we jumped in with both feet, taught Sunday school, helped with the kids, and all that kind of stuff. And then we got to the point to where, people would ask me to teach Sunday school classes and teach kids. And so I would study and read this stuff and think about it and try to put all the animals in the boat. And that led me into apologetics and even more studying. And the more I did that, the more I realized that I don't believe this. This doesn't really make much sense. And it was hard because I wanted to believe, but this side of my brain wouldn't let me do it. And then I got on YouTube and I found some atheists and was listening to them. And one day, a little over 3 years ago, I said out loud, "Holy crap, I'm an atheist." And at that point, it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, fine, And for me, there was a grieving period. There was a loss because we were so active in the church, and now, it was like that wasn't there. So that was really the hard part for me. Was going through that loss.
Did you ever spend that agnostic
No
transition?
I
You
really
just went,
didn't.
okay,
I
so
really
Bible. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think perhaps I always had a little, dose of agnosticism in me, that doubt, just because, of just the way I think. But it was really just,
Just flipped a switch.
Flipped.
You just said, okay,
Yeah.
that's the last straw.
Yeah. Because
okay.
we were talking earlier, it's like once you pull on that thread, just like
keeps
your
coming.
rational mind just, oh goodness,
Oh,
it's
there
all
goes the
coming
arc.
apart.
Oh,
Oh, there it
wait.
goes.
Split.
Yeah, so that needle goes.
Part of the sea.
Really
Oh,
quick,
wait,
yeah.
raised from the dead. Well,
That's right.
okay, so what's left? A polystyrene?
That's right.
Nothing.
So, what about you and your children?
Me and my children. Let's say we obviously don't go to church.
Mm-hmm.
Although for a time when they were really young, we took them to like a Mother's Day out,
Mm-hmm.
just so they could interact with other kids.
Mm-hmm.
But once they started, catching on to stuff, because there's, Jesus and all the ark animals and all this stuff, it's just kind of weird. We took them out. But no, we just, I guess a lot of people worry where, they want their kids to be good people. And, so where are you going to get your morals from?
Sure.
And I think if you're relying on the Bible to teach you morals, first of all, that's probably a bad choice. Second of all, it's lazy. Do the homework, Why is it wrong to lie? Why is it wrong to lie?
We have to talk about that a little bit. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, communication between a social species is, vital, right? And once you start breaking down trust, when I can no longer rely on you to give me reliable information, that's where lying is. Okay, so if you tell mom that she loves, looks great in that dress, that's not bad. But when you start lying for personal gain, that's, if I tell you that you're not going to have a birthday party, and then surprise, you have a birthday party, that's a lie, but the trust hasn't been, destroyed, right? But if, I tell you that, there's no more cookies, you leave and num, 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 it's for personal gain.
Right.
That's why lying is bad.
Right.
And I don't think if you just say, well, God says lying is bad, that's why lying is bad, Jimmy. That doesn't cut it. Do the work.
Why?
Think about it, all right? And then explain it to kids, all right? It may take some doing, but kids will catch on, right? Good lies, bad lies, why are white lies okay to tell, because they don't hurt anybody and they don't benefit you.
Right.
Okay, so the lies that benefit you at the expense of someone, that's when lying becomes a problem.
It's interesting you brought that point up, because we did a similar experiment with the green leaves.
Yeah.
Because I would make a statement like, I said earlier, all leaves are green. I would say all lies are bad. Let's talk about all lies are bad. And they'd think, and at first they would agree. Yeah. I said, are you sure? Think about that just a little bit. Are all lies bad? It's like, do you lie? And of course they said yes, I lie. Okay, well you just didn't lie. So okay, all right, fine. It's like, but is all lying bad? If you say to someone you look nice, you're trying to make them feel good, even though you may not really think they look nice.
Right.
You want them to feel good. So did you tell a lie? Kinda. Okay, so really, what you're not saying that all lies. I don't agree that all lies are bad. We lie all the time, constantly. What you have to do is, you and I, my children and I, or whoever in the society, we have a threshold. We've agreed that there are certain things that are okay to lie about and certain things that aren't. As long as everybody in the room or in the society has that same agreement, everybody's happy. But when we start disagreeing on what it's okay to lie about, that's when problems start occurring, So it's a question of society and what's acceptable, as to when it's okay to lie and when it's not okay to lie. But that's a huge morality question right there. It's like, then you start getting into questions of relative morality and absolute morality and all that kind of stuff. And that's why you would look at someone like a Christian would look at me and say, well, that's why you're cast adrift. This tells you what's good and bad, and what I've just said is that I've decided on what morality is good and bad me. Right? I've thought about it and made that decision constantly, consciously.
Well, yeah, but pragmatically, that's how it's going to be applied in the world, right? And it's not just me, it's not just you doing it, it's not just the atheists making up their own morality. We have hermeneutics is essentially making up stuff, right?
Where are you starting from?
It's how I interpret it, right? So if you interpret, thou shalt not lie as, I won't lie about the last cookie, but that dress looks fine on you, like that.
Doesn't make you look fat.
It doesn't make you look red. There you go.
That's funny. So you have never taken your children to church? Oh, you did. Your Mother's Day Out was about.
Well, that's kind of the church-ish, and I think maybe her family has a lot of involvement in church. So for programs and stuff like that. So at Christmas and things like that, we go, but it would be just like going to the theater or something like that. But we don't attend church.
Right.
I will go by myself if I'm invited, because everybody, you probably get this. you should come by my church.
Okay.
And like the when I said about open mind, you know, okay, maybe you have something that, you know, the multitude of churches that I've been to before haven't had, right? Maybe you are different. Not yet, but,
Right.
you know, so I'll go, and I'll talk to him afterwards. I'm completely open about not believing. I use the word atheist. I'm an atheist. I get a lot of, you know, why don't you believe?
Right. Yeah. Those are. I like those questions.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another call.
Excellent.
Hi, you're on the Freethought forum. Who is this?
Hello, this is Faithless Forrest. I've been watching and listening to you guys,
Hey, Forrest.
and I developed a question. You had asked Rick about, with the going to church history, and Rick had said that sometime he'd gone with the in-laws, and it reminded me of there's a kind of thing that happens often. It's around Christmas. A lot of people feel pressure to get the kids out at least once or twice a year, Christmas and or Easter.
Scenic.
And Christmas often involves, songs that are fun to sing and so on. So I guess the question for both of you is, what's your relationship with Christmas songs?
We still sing them. At least in my house, we still sing them. Just because they're Christmas songs. I mean, really, it's kind of funny with music. That's an interesting point to bring up. A lot of times, the music, we play the music or even sing the music just because we like the song, the way it sounds. Not necessarily what the words are saying, which is kind of interesting. Also, just Christian music in general. I mean, remember I told you there was a sort of grieving period with me. There's a lot of Christian music out there that if you kind of listen to it, it's actually a good song. I mean, you think about the words and it's like, no. I mean, it's almost sad that it's like, here's this wonderful song, but if you listen to the words, it's like, well, I really don't believe that story. But there's lots of music that I listen to that I would say most people listen to, that if you listen to the words, you really don't agree with the words anyway, like rock songs and country songs and all kinds of stuff like that. It's like, no, I really wouldn't live my life that way, but I like the song. At least that's the way it is in my house. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, we love all the holidays. There's about as much Christ in my Christmas as there is Thor in my Thursday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are religious songs, Christmas songs that I like, and there are secular Christmas songs that I like.
Well, I was going to mention that. I was going to say there is a difference between Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer
Right.
and like Joy to the World.
Right.
There it is.
And
Right.
I must admit, I like Joy to the World, but I feel guilty singing it. And it robs some of the fun from it.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess maybe I've stepped on Rick. Rick, were you going to give us some examples?
No, I agree with you. Like the Little Drummer Boy, right? I enjoy the Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
But if you sing along, you're going, really, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
that whole camel desert thing kind of
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, like, Amazing Grace. I mean, I have to admit, it's an amazing song, and I think a lot of that is me growing up in church and listening to Amazing Grace and having heard some just fantastic performances of it. That song always kind of moves me. Now, it doesn't necessarily move me like religiously, but it does move me emotionally whenever I hear that song. I don't know that will ever go away, but it's
Right.
It's just, there's some music that's just fantastic, even though it happens to be religious.
And Amazing Grace is one that also really gives me the creeps, because this thing about, saving a wretch like me.
Yes.
Since I never bought into that.
Yes.
That one creeps me out
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to the words.
Yeah.
Just the bagpipes. Just the bagpipes. Right?
Yeah.
All righty.
All right.
No, I think I kind of covered it.
Okay.
I'll let you go back. I hope you get a few more callers, and I hope to see you all down at Flats and Taft later.
All right. Thank you, Forrest.
Bye, all.
Yeah. Speaking of callers, this is a call-in show. We are live. If you'd like to call in, if you have any questions for us, please call the number on the screen.
Okay.
So speaking of holidays, do you celebrate holidays?
Oh, yes.
We celebrate all the holidays.
Yeah, our house, we have a tree, and
The holiday tree.
we decorate it year-round.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah. So our Easter, it's covered in eggs.
Yeah.
In the middle of the summer, it's covered in stars. In the fall, it's covered in leaves. So Halloween lasts like 2 months at our house.
I wish.
Christmas, we decorate it with Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. So we love the holidays around our house, and it's just a lot of fun. I was talking to someone earlier, and I told them that we homeschool our children, and she asked me why. Why do you homeschool your kids? I like my kids, I would like to spend as much time as I can with them, and that's kind of goes into the whole decorating and things like that year-round.
Yeah, I had a guy, he was going on about Jesus and stuff, and he asked, "You do believe in Jesus?" I go, "No." And he goes, "Well, do you celebrate Christmas?" I go, "Yeah, I celebrate Christmas." He goes, "Well, then you believe in Jesus." I go, No. I celebrate Chinese New Year's. I'm not Chinese. I mean,
well, that's like Halloween, Exactly. We love Halloween, but we're not. We don't believe in the pagan rituals or the pagan gods that are behind that.
Right. I believe in jack-o'-lanterns and
exactly.
free candy.
Yeah. That's right. So, how does your spouse feel about you being atheist?
She doesn't believe. She's an atheist, I guess.
Okay.
She has no interest in church.
Mm-hmm.
She'll give me that look when I go on too much about religion. So, she's willing to tolerate religion.
Right.
A little bit, but she doesn't really. She'll. I guess she's on Facebook, and a lot of her relatives are religious.
Right.
So.
Right.
She'll say, "Oh, look at this," but she doesn't get involved too much.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is spiritual but not religious.
Right.
She is.
So
She
she's
was.
kind of lingering out in deism land.
Actually, I was describing to her, sort of what Einstein thought, the whole deism thing, and she's like,
Right.
"I'm there."
There you go. Yeah.
The universe is connected,
Spinoza's
and
God,
there's
right?
meaning, and exactly. And, but, I don't believe that there's somebody up there pulling strings,
Right.
cranking the wheel, making everything turn, or the absent watchmaker,
Right. Here we
That-
go.
No.
Done.
Right, but
Off.
the universe is, she would say the universe is God, and
Kind of like the act of creating the universe, kind of expended God's life, and he kind of. Isn't there kind of like you said you got into like Hindu stuff? Isn't there something about how God is the universe, and then God reforming Himself?
it's cycles.
Right.
Right, it cycles. I don't think she would say that. She doesn't believe in like the divine intelligence. Phone call.
I believe we have a call.
All right, we have another phone call. This is great. Hi, you're on the Freethought forum. Who is this?
Hello, this is Riv. Wasn't so long ago I was watching and listening as well, so I just wanted to add some thoughts.
Okay, please.
Interesting for music and and why that was being mentioned, and why they have such a strong grip on us, even into apostasy and so on. Some songs that come to mind: "Holy Night," "Oh Holy Night."
Oh, Holy
Oh,
Night,
yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, "Who Is This Child?"
Oh, yes. Trans-Siberian Orchestra is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ode to Joy is a bit older. I think there's some connotations to it. Of course, Amazing Grace is mentioned. And there's even one that I went to when I was younger in my church. It's a song called "My Jesus, My Savior."
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've heard that.
But it's just the way it sounds. All these things are very powerfully, they're evocative, they're emotionally driven.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's the rhythm and the harmony. But a key point that was made is that it's because when we were younger, we heard it, and we were exposed to it and indoctrinated. They form these strong memories, and that's what gives us basically the lingering connotations and feelings that go into why we still can listen to them, much in the same way that if you were in India and there are more traditional songs that are taken out of the epic poem of, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita, those things would still give people emotional feelings if they didn't, believe that way.
Sure.
Well, we learn the alphabet by singing it, right? I mean, singing helps us remember stuff, and then when you attach emotions to it, obviously that stays in there.
Right.
Now, caller, what was your name again? I didn't hear it. It was...
Oh, sorry. It's Riv.
Riv?
Okay.
Riv, yeah. Short for river.
Okay.
Okay. Are you local?
So, I am local, actually. And one more thing I wanted to say that's, I think, really important, and it was just mentioned about the songs themselves and emotions. It's not, and this would even go down to believers, I believe, like who would believe whatever faith they have. I think the music, and this is mathematical, you've taken algorithmic approach to music, and of course music theory, you learn this early on, as to what is pleasing to the ear, what is symmetric, what is out of harmony, what tingles the senses in ways that make something pleasing to hear. And I think that even for people who are any number of religious or not, it's the pleasure in the song itself and the memories they attach to it rather than sometimes even what the words are. So when people are listening to Amazing Grace, especially from Oh Holy Night, it's the way it sounds, regardless of whether they believe or didn't believe. That's the thinking point. But it becomes juxtaposed into people's beliefs, and that's what becomes insidious. But yeah, that's a small keynote.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Riv. You said, have you watched the show before?
Yes. Yes, and I have the camera often, and I watch it every so often.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. And you know about our meeting at Flats and Taps?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I do.
All right.
I'd like to go there when I can.
All right. Well, we hope to see you there today if you can make it.
All right.
Thank you very much for calling.
All right, thank you. Sorry for taking up so much time.
No, not at all.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye.
Okay. We have a program break.
Yeah.
So let's switch to program. Okay. In case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributors.
Shows are live most Tuesdays from 5 to 5:55 p.m. Eastern Time on Knox Community Access Television Channel 12 or Channel 194, depending on your local cable network. Tell your out-of-town friends to see us streaming online at ctvknox.org.
Today's show is live August 8th, and you can call in on the number on your screen and speak to us. While we take a short break, please watch these informative videos about our sponsors.
Is talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org. If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun.
Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, meet 1 or 2 times a week. We have evening meetups for fun, food, drink, and conversation. Find us online at knoxvilleatheist.org. The purpose of ASK is to support a venue for community and camaraderie and outreach to atheists, agnostics, free thinkers, and other like-minded persons in the East Tennessee area. Our Tuesday meeting is going on now at the somewhat new location.
Yep.
Okay, it's changed. Flats and Taps at 7403 Kingston Pike, Knoxville, Tennessee.
The second Sunday of most months is the Rationalists of East Tennessee Skeptics Book Club. The book for August is The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate by Peter Wolleben. Meet on Sunday, August 13th at 2 p.m. The public is invited to participate. You need not have read the book to attend, but of course it helps. Visit rationalist.org to find the rest of the calendar of books and join us at the location of Books A Million, 8513 Kingston Pike, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Third Sunday of August at 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Goins Cafeteria Annex at Pulaski State College. The Rationalists of East Tennessee member Ralph Escher will present a talk on the desperate need to believe. Christian apologists make use of several evidentiary and non-evidentiary arguments for the existence of God. None of these is compelling. The reason for the failures will be discussed. This is an expanded version of the FFTV show Ralph and Faithless did some weeks ago, but on which they did not get to cover all that they could have said on the subject.
Okay. So back to our discussion about raising your kids in a secular home.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we were discussing earlier is how I guess do your children act being secular, or how does it affect them? And the only thing that really comes to mind in the beginning is we have most of our friends are religious. We don't have a lot of secular friends in the area right now that have children.
Mm-hmm.
And they play together all the time. And at one point in time, I overheard the conversation between my oldest and my friend's oldest about dinosaurs. And the other family is extremely religious, and they believe in creationism, and the Earth is, the young Earth. Right. Earth is 5,000 years old, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so we were talking earlier about Cosmos. My kids almost have Cosmos memorized, quite literally.
Right.
So they know about billions of year old Earth, and So the evolution of, and even like Jurassic and Triassic and the whole 9 yards, they've kind of got all that squirreled away in their brains. And so they're talking about this, and my oldest is, talking about dinosaurs, and,
Wait a minute.
and the other child is like, but that none of that existed. It's this, the Earth is the Earth was created 5,000 years ago. And so he was going along, sort of the rote biblical story, and my daughter didn't understand, because we've never told her that the Earth is 5,000 years old.
Some people believe.
Right, and so you can see the questioning look on her face. It's like, what?
What are you talking about?
It's like they're not even speaking the same language.
Cite
It's
your
like,
source. What are you?
why? Yeah, why? What are you talking about? And so, what I thought was very interesting was my oldest said, "Why do you think that?" Which I loved that question when she said that. Now, it didn't get into complete Socratic dialogue.
Right.
But what I liked was, why do you think that? I mean,
Right.
that was a very proud parent moment. That she just didn't say you're wrong.
Oh.
She said, she
Right.
asked him, she tried to understand. And of course, he went into, well, the Bible says this and the Bible says that, and if you add up all the year, so he went through why he thought what he thought. Which actually I was very proud of him for that.
He knew his stuff.
He did. He knew his stuff. He laid out his argument. But I guess that was probably the most in-your-face example of a collision, between what we've taught them, which is as scientific as we understand, versus here's something that's like, I can't personally believe that, but I'm not going to call you a complete flaming idiot. I want to hear what you think.
Right.
And she did that. And I was like, cool. I like that. So have you had any?
I was talking to my son about something, and I was telling him that at school, at different places, there are people who believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's obviously too young to really form an informed opinion, but he said, well, people who believe in God are stupid. And I said, okay, people who believe in God. Do you think your aunt, your grandfather, do you think these people are stupid? People who believe in God aren't stupid, okay? It's demonstrable. People. And you know that they're not stupid. Why would you make a comment like that? Well, I don't know. Well, unless you know, it's a very harsh statement to say, okay? And they wouldn't appreciate it. I mean, you wouldn't appreciate it if they said that, one of your ideas was stupid, especially a blanket statement like that.
Right.
Like all people are stupid,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it doesn't really come up much because we don't really interact. I mean, like when we go over to their house, to friends or whatever, and they say grace, like our family, when in Rome, and I try to get them to be respectful and stuff like that. But when they come over our house, actually, they came over our house once, and I'd asked Diane to tell her sister, please don't. They didn't, so she started, and I said, we could sort of skip that. And there was some strife, and but we got past it. So now when they come over, we don't say grace. When we go over to their house, we do say grace. I try to make sure that they're respectful. And these are people. These are, people in our schools, in our workplaces, in our families. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to agree with them, right? I mean, you have, football fans of different stripes. They're not the enemy, right? Mm-hmm. These are intelligent people who just have a different viewpoint. Mm-hmm. And I try to express that to them and correct them whenever it comes up. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, one of the big conversations that we have, and this is related to religion, is sort of evidence-based thought. And go back to asking the question of why do you think that?
Right.
Growing up in our case, sort of a Christian society and a Christian background, there's lots of things associated with that dictate, what women should do and what men should do. And one of the things that sort of led me to talking to this about my children, because I have girls, it's like, if you meet somebody, if you meet somebody and they say to you, you're a girl and this is how you should act, or if you meet somebody and you're thinking about marrying them and they say, well, I'm Christian and this is how a woman behaves in a Christian home, and you ask them, why do you think that? And I said, because it's in the Bible. That's not, I don't consider that a good answer. I don't consider that a good answer.
Right.
And I encourage you not to accept that answer too.
Right.
And I'm trying desperately not to tell them what to think.
Right.
I want them to come to their own conclusions, because if I tell them what to think, how am I any better?
Right.
Really, how am I any better? What I want them to do is to think critically, is to look at the statement and go, okay, where is the evidence that says that life would be better if I, as a woman, behaved a certain way in our family, not just because it's written in a book on page 72.
Right.
Right? And I don't know any evidence of that either, but a lot of some of the boys that are interested in my girls come from Christian homes, and chances are, and it's like and I've explained this to both of my girls. It's like, you're going to run into this, conflict,
right?
And you need to understand that they may believe this patriarchy, and you're going to fight this your whole life. And you need to be aware of it, and figure out how you're going to handle that. And I can help you with that. We're getting close to the end of the show.
We are. I guess it's time to wrap it up.
Yep. It's time to start wrapping things up. So get out your pen and paper. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee.
You can give us feedback by voicemail at 865-272-9060, or by email at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com, or our Facebook page, Freethought Forum Knoxville.
You can see this show on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on this Knoxville station, and online at ctvknox.org.
We would like to thank Leah for call screening, Sam and Rev for studio support, the staff at CTV Knox, and all of our viewers and callers.
Nuns who identify with no religion are the fastest growing religious group in America. Right here in East Tennessee, the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee are places you can find fellowship and fun. We want you to know here at the show that if you're Freethought or atheist or agnostic, that you are not alone.
Have a good evening. Come see us.